Good morning, everyone. Well, you know, I am just so happy to be here, and I have to, before I start, I really just have to take a moment to share a thought that I've been having since I've come here. I've been picked up at the airport, and I've met most of the people and staff here at the church, and you guys have something really wonderful here. Let's give a hand to your staff, your volunteers, and the people who are helping out. Yeah. Yes, it's just beautiful to see that kind of energy at work in one place and all for the glory of God. And it's just a wonderful thing. Well, I want to take this moment to tell those who are watching us via the internet to tell your friends about this place, because this place is full of energy. Tell your friends to watch us here at Uni of Hawaii, because they've got it. Yeah. Now, I've got to tell you a little story, and I told it to the earlier service, and it seems that it's kind of been resonating with me because, you know, I really felt that way. I got off of the plane and I was hungry. They told me, you know, go get yourself a sandwich and we'll pick you up later. They picked me up later and they've been feeding me ever since. They have not stopped feeding me. One of the search team members said to me last night, you better be ready tomorrow. And I thought to myself, am I a candidate or am I the fatted calf? Cancel what I said about this church. Well, I've got to tell you now, since I've been here, it's been really hot. And I've heard from person after person after person that we're not getting any trade winds and that this is just the hottest time of the year. So I just want to say to you, I hope that's true. No cooking the minister. Yes. So I am here today to just experience light and love and to talk to you about something that's near and dear to me, that's inspirational for me, and I want to talk to you about the one. You know, since I've come into this process of being a candidate, I'm the one in the middle. I'm the one between two great speakers. And the whole concept of being the one came to me as a result of really thinking about, what does it mean? What does it mean to be the one who's chosen? What does it mean to be the one who has to step up? Let me ask you something. How many of you have seen the one? Well, not many of you have seen the one today. Well, you know, I think about what the one is. The one is truly about believing in love. And it's about awakening to our divinity. We all have a spark of divinity within us. And it's our true nature. It's our true essence. I think about, I'm going to put up a quote for you today, and it's from the book of John. And John represents the spiritual gospel. John speaks to within, without, and through us. And Jesus here is giving a commandment. He says, a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another. Now, when Jesus was making this decree, he was going through a pretty tough time with his disciples. He was trying to get them to see a new way. And we have to come to a point in our own lives where we begin to see a new way. You see, Jesus was making this decree, and he was saying to them that it is time to love, to express love, to allow love to show up within you. But not only to do this thing called love, which is our essence, but to share it with one another. The thing about the words one another is that they imply a reciprocal relationship between two or more people. The problem with this reciprocal relationship, though, is that someone has to start it off. Have you seen the one? You see, the whole idea about being the one is that we're called to love one another. We're called to spread love. It's a challenge for us to awaken to our divinity, to our true energy, our spiritual energy, and to co-create a world that makes a positive difference in our lives and in the lives of others. I love the way Teilhard de Chardin puts it. He says, love is the energy that seeks first to lift each person into wholeness, the totalization of one's true self. And the second thing is to bring each person into harmony with other people. So here, love is an energy, he's saying. It's an energy that we use within us that is already there, that's there to lift us up. But not only is it there to lift us up, it's there to be used to harmonize and to bring others together, to help other people. Have you seen the one? You see, I remember this old statement that people used to say all the time. They used to say, there's one in every crowd. How many of you heard that one? There's one in every crowd. And usually when this term is being used about human behavior, it's not good news. No. There's one in every crowd could be the person who tells half the story straight and makes up the other half. There's one in every crowd could be the person who seems to speak exactly what's on their mind at the wrong time, who just says what they have to say while everyone is staring at the sky or at the floor. There's one in every crowd could be the person who leaves the church or who breaks away from a relationship because they're not getting what they want. You know, that person who gets upset and they take their marbles and go home. There's one in every crowd is sometimes that person who screams, "In the hole!" right when the golfer swinging the club. I don't like that one. There's one in every crowd. It's true that there's someone who does things at the wrong time for the wrong reason. Perhaps it's someone you know. Perhaps it's someone in your family. Perhaps it's someone in this church. But you know, there being one in every crowd doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be a very positive and powerful thing. There's one in every crowd could be that person who tithes of their talent, their time, their treasure toward a greater cause, someone who volunteers and gives for something greater than themselves. There's one in every crowd could be the person who shows up with a smile and always has something good to say about others. There's one in every crowd could be that person that shows up with unconditional love each time and is there to be a listening ear to someone else. Truly, there is one in every crowd. I believe that there's such a one in every crowd and that each of us has been given a certain purpose to fulfill in our lives. And for that reason, and in that sense, you are the one. In that sense, I am the one. You see, I get it. For the record, I've seen it myself. I watch the news. I know that our world is suffering from bad economics, from war, from greed. I know that our world is going through some problems with our environment shifting at an historical rate. I know that our teachers, our children, and our rights are being held secondary to corporations. I see that there are some who are losing their health while others are losing their relationships. Things are just being torn apart. And as humans, I see more anger, more judgment, more criticism, more resentment, more fear, and less forgiveness in people. And it seems that a new dis-ease is showing up on our planet each week. Yeah, I see it. But the thing about the appearance of lack is that it's not real. What's truth for us is that we are children of God. That innately within us is the spark of divinity. That God lives in each one of us. And that our very essence is love and light. Did you know that? That your essence is love and light. Our becoming the one is determined by our willingness to look within, to be willing to change, to transform, to see the Christ in not only ourselves, but in the person sitting next to us, and to spread love. Now that seems easy enough, right? To spread love. Everyone wants to spread love. Everybody wants love. But it's not as easy as it seems. And it's not as easy as it seems because sometimes we get stuck in our troubles. I want to tell you a story about the disciples in John 21. Jesus is on the shore watching his disciples fishing in the water in the dark. They notice him and they come to the shore. Jesus sits down with Peter. Now imagine what the disciples are going through at the end of the book of John. They had just witnessed Jesus being arrested and persecuted. They had just seen him being nailed to the cross and humiliated. Them themselves, they were running out of fear, being hunted. They were alone. They were afraid. They were lost. Many of us have had those moments in our lives where we've been alone, afraid, and lost. Jesus sits down with Peter and he starts to talk to him. He says, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?" Peter said, "Yes, I love you, Lord." He said, "Feed my sheep." Peter turns away. Jesus says to him again, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?" Peter says, "You know I love you, Lord." He says, "Feed my lambs." Jesus says a third time, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?" Peter is miffed and grieved that he says it a third time. He says, "You know I love you, Lord. Why do you keep asking me?" "Yes, I love you." Jesus says, "Feed my sheep." Now, for many, the belief is that Jesus is asking Peter a question, but really Jesus is making a statement. He's saying, "Love me, feed my sheep." You see, feed represents substance, and sheep is the innocence, our thoughts. Jesus is saying, send love to your thoughts. If you want to come through this problem, this darkness that you're in, send love to your thoughts. If you want to awaken from being lost, being miffed, send love to your thoughts. If you're looking to get through your sickness, you're looking to get through your illness, love me. If you're seeking prosperity, if you want to get rid of these financial troubles, love me. If you want a healthy relationship, if you want love in the right way, love me. But it seems that many times we can't find our place. We can't find that way to love ourselves. I want to put up a quote from Charles Fillmore. And he says, "The net of man's thoughts work hard and long in the darkness. But once the Christ mind is perceived and obeyed, success will follow." You see, we humans, we sometimes have an issue. We get caught up in fear and worry and doubt. And at night, it keeps us up. We're stuck up long in the night, worried and troubled. We start looking for love in all the wrong places. Isn't that true? And what we need to do is stop and love me. Send thoughts of love within yourself and be lifted up. And as Teilhard de Chardin said, and become open to harmonizing with other people. We have to begin to show love. We have to begin to spread love. We have to get out there and talk to people about love. There's a story about an old monastery many years ago that was filled with monks. And there was almost 100 monks in this monastery. And many people were coming to visit. But all of a sudden, the monastery started to have troubles. People had began to feel downtrodden. People felt like they weren't being heard. The monastery started falling apart. The monks were going through struggles and they started to separate. All of a sudden, they started leaving and they started dying off. The people started leaving. And suddenly, the monastery only had 4 lonely monks left. And they didn't even get along with one another. So one day, the abbot, the leader of the monastery, came to them and said, "I'm going to go get some advice from a friend. I'll be right back." And he gets in his buggy and he leaves and he goes to see his friend, the rabbi. He gets to the rabbi and he starts to tell him about his troubles. And the rabbi says, "Let's pray." And they get down on their knees and they begin to pray for the monastery. Pray for guidance. Pray for an answer. After they get up, the rabbi asked the monk, "Did you get anything in your prayers?" The monk says, "No, I didn't get anything." The monk says, "Well, did you get anything?" The rabbi says, "No, I didn't really get it. I didn't get it. I don't think I got anything." The monk starts to leave. As the monk is walking out the door, the rabbi stops him and says, Hey, wait a minute. I just want to tell you that something came to me. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The voice said to me, one of you is the one. The monk didn't pay much attention to it. He got in his buggy and he began to leave. All the way home, though, he could not get this thought out of his mind. One of us is the one. One of us is the one. He started to think, I wonder if it's Brother John. Brother John, nah, it couldn't be him. He's too mean. He's too crotchety. Couldn't be Brother John, but maybe it is. You know, Brother John does keep his word. He does do what people ask him to do. It may be Brother John. He keeps going thinking one of us is the one. He says, well, maybe it's Brother Mark. Nah, it couldn't be Brother Mark. He's too soft. He's too meek. But you know, Brother Mark is sweet. He is a kind man. He does show compassion to everyone. Maybe it's Brother Mark. He gets back to the monastery and all the monks start to ask him, well, what did he say? He says, well, the rabbi said that he thought he heard that one of us is the one. They shrugged it off and they all went to their rooms. But then now the 4 or 5 of them started thinking, one of us is the one. One of us is the one. They go to bed and thinking, one of us is the one. They wake up that next morning, one of us is the one. One of us is the one. They start suddenly treating each other better. They start working together. They start building their community back up, planting gardens and building fences and helping one another. Suddenly the villagers begin to hear about it and they start coming back to see the one. They join the monastery again and become monks, and then others start to come because the one is there at this monastery. Suddenly a young man, a stranger, hears about there being one at this monastery. He comes over to meet the one. And what he discovers is that Linda was the one. He discovers Anna is the one. He discovers Joyce is the one. He sees the one in everyone he meets. He joins the monastery and becomes a monk himself. And he goes out to all the villages. He's so excited. He goes and tells everyone about the one being at this particular monastery. People from miles around start to come. And this monastery becomes 10 times bigger than it ever was before. Later, when someone asked, why did you join this monastery? They all said the same thing. We came here looking for the one. But when we got here, we discovered that each of us is the one. So let me ask you again, how many of you have seen the one? Thank you all, and God bless you.